So it's Thursday, second hour of our show. We have our in-house therapist waiting for today's IOB 마음톡톡. Time for Inside of Busan's Mind Talk. Inside of Busan 마음톡톡 시간입니다. Let's say hi to our in-house therapist 오정아 원장님. 원장님 안녕하십니까?
네, 반갑습니다. This is 오정아 from Chicago Therapeutic Center, Chicago 심신치유센터.
원장님 반갑습니다.
네, 반갑습니다.
원장님, before we get into today's
네.
segment, I guess I want to also throw the same question to you. What's your standard when you give 축의금 to, let's say, like when you go to a wedding?
I think at least 100,000.
100,000 won?
When it's close to my cousins, or then like more than that.
Oh, okay. So more than like 100,000 when it's like family, let's say, or like a best friend. 비슷하네요. I think everybody's the same, right? But that flat rate has become 10만 원 now. Do you remember the time where it was like 5만 원? 좀 제가 너무 옛날 사람인가요?
Yeah. Because I was really away from Korea for a long time.
Around that
like
time,
when
yeah.
My like friends, they're getting married and things like that, and so, but yeah, like when someone who is not that close, but I know the person, then maybe we're not going to see each other maybe next time. So then like 50,000 won.
Ah,
would be
okay.
I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Some people say, okay, 10만 원, 100,000 won is still like a little burdensome. 좀 부담이 되니까. Some people give like 5만 원 as 축의금 and not eat the food there. Yeah, so that's like kind of in their mind. That's kind of like giving 10만 원, because usually 뭐 결혼식 음식 뷔페
요즘에
비싸잖아요.
비싸잖아요.
네. So it kind of like go into like 3만 원, 4만 원. Even like at expensive places like 5만 원, 6만 원 per person. So it's expensive.
네네.
So even giving 5만 원 and not eating and just leaving after the wedding ceremony, that's kind of like giving 10만 원 too, right? So that's also something to think about.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you so much for sharing with us, 원장님. So let's get to today's 마음톡톡. What do you have for us?
Exactly 1 week from today, it will be the college scholastic ability test known as 수능.
Dun, dun, dun.
So many test takers are likely to become more anxious as the date approaches. So today's topic is related to that.
Okay.
So here's the story.
I'm a high school senior, and I'm struggling with overwhelming test anxiety. It all started a few years ago when I had a traumatic experience during a math test. Since then, every time I sit down to take an exam, my heart races, my palms get sweaty, and my mind goes blank. I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of panic. The pressure is unbearable, and it's affecting my grades. How can I get over this situation? Whenever I hear stories like this, I always think, 내가 열심히 안 했네, like in school. Because I didn't run into a lot of these problems. I don't know, I never took tests too seriously. If I had like a little bit of like the seriousness, like today's story was, I don't know, maybe I would have gotten better test scores. Maybe I would have gone to a better school, right? But yeah, this is a situation I'm sure a lot of like our listeners, maybe kids, but maybe even some of our listeners might be test takers for this year's 수능.
So let's refer to this writer as Jisoo. Thank you for sharing your struggles on test, and I'm truly sorry to hear that you have been carrying the weight of the bad memory for so long time. So the traumatic experience you had during that math test seemed to have left a significant impact on you. So test anxiety is a very real and challenging issue, and many people face similar difficulties. So like means you already have your thoughts on Jesus' situation.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, because me growing up in the US, I feel like when it comes to test taking, especially if it's going to be a test that affects what college you're going to go to, I mean, if you're going to even go to college at all, we have the SATs, in America. I think they still have the SATs. I don't know. I haven't heard just news on. I don't know how kids are going to college these days in America. But 라떼 말이야. When I was a high school student about to enter into college, we took the SATs 1 and 2. So we had the SAT 1s were like the core subjects, and SAT 2s were elective. You chose what subject tests you could take. But me, the reason why I never felt pressure like Jisoo is experiencing is because in America, you could take the SAT 1s and 2s however many times you want. 네. So it's not just once a year thing. It's almost once a month.
Oh.
그리고 if you take the SATs and you feel like I don't know if I did too well on this. I'm going to sign up for the next one right away. So you sign up again and you could take the test again and you could take it however many times you want.
Wow.
And colleges, they don't look at all the test scores. They only look at the highest
one.
score.
Oh, wow.
So that's both for the SAT 1s and 2s. 그래서 제가 우리 지수 학생처럼 그렇게 부담은 안 느꼈던 것 같아요. But here in Korea, the 수능 is once a year, right? I can't imagine. 좀 상상이 안 돼요. That one test, one time, 그거 하나로 it determines what college you go to or if you go to college at all.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's tough, I think. Yeah, so what kind of symptoms, I guess? Because you mentioned Jisoo in the letter, Jisoo has test anxiety, right? Maybe for some of our listeners who are parents and maybe have kids, maybe you could be on the lookout for this. So what are symptoms of test anxiety that you should be on the lookout for?
Sure. So when you feel really anxious about a test, there are usually 3 parts to it. So the first part is cognitive anxiety. That's the kind of the anxiety where you have lots of negative thoughts and doubt yourself during the test. So the second part is somatic anxiety. You might start sweating, your muscles get all tense, and your heart beats really fast. That makes the whole nervous feeling even stronger, and it's hard to remember things.
I mean, like I said, school tests and like CSATs and the SATs, I've never experienced. The last time I experienced test anxiety like this, 제가 그때 그 운전면허증 그 시험을 칠 때 이런 anxiety 조금 느꼈어요, right? Because I had to take it here, retake it, the written part here in Korea, and everything was in Korean. So 그래서 조금 긴장하긴 했는데 that's like the last time I felt this kind of anxiety, right? I remember my palms were sweating.
Right.
You mentioned there's another one. Like, is there a third part as well?
Yeah. So the third part is excessive worry. So you're worried a lot about what might happen if you don't do well on the test. You might be scared of failing or disappointing yourself and others. All these things together can make it tough for people who struggle with test anxiety. And it can affect how they do on tests and how they feel overall.
Yeah. So if you have somebody close to you, around you, maybe your kid or maybe your students, and you see these types of symptoms around them, they might be going through test anxiety.
Right.
Okay. I think I know of a couple, but I'm sure with you as an expert, you can get into detail of this. But what are the causes as well as factors that contribute to test anxiety?
Test anxiety can be caused by a combination of factors, including fear of failure, perfectionism, and past negative test experiences, pressure from external sources such as parents, teachers, or peers, low self-esteem, and lack of preparation.
Okay. So that's where those are the sources of test anxiety. Okay. Me, I think, like I said, my most recent test that I took was years ago, but that was my driver's license test. But I guess it was a little bit of the perfectionism in me. I take pride in my driving skills. 그 운전하는 그런 실력을 좀 it's a touchy thing for me. 사람이 민수 운전 못하네 들으면 저 what? 막 이렇게 하는데요. So coming here to Korea, trying to get that driver's license test, passing that test, I thought to myself, okay, I need to get 100% because I'm an awesome driver, right? So I felt that little bit of pressure, but because I have to take this test in Korean, like that language barrier might even make other people think that, he failed the test. That means he's not a good driver. But it's because it was in Korean. 다행히 일단 통과하긴 했어요, right? I mean, I passed, but I guess I felt a little bit of that. What about you, 원장님? Have you experienced anything like this?
Of course, I have test anxiety as well. I've experienced many small and big tests throughout my life. So I often feel anxious before taking a test or going on an interview. However, when I'm in that situation, I'm trying to give my best and accept the results as they come, or think if they don't hire me, that's it's their loss. It seems that thinking in this way reduces my anxiety significantly.
완전 like 어깨 뿜뿜 like up here, confidence. I like that. I think that's a good thing, right? Because thinking that it helps you move on to another opportunity, right? Or another position. Let's say if you're getting a job, okay? If they don't want me, fine. I'll take my talents elsewhere, somewhere else, okay? I mean, it's interesting that you have test anxiety before the test, but not during. Kind of like the situation like that. I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay.
So here are some questions for Jisoo to consider to help her better understand her emotions on a deeper level and the challenges in her situation.
Okay, so maybe for some of our listeners, once again, we always have these self-reflective questions that we like to give. Maybe this is something that you might be going through, so listeners can also follow along and ask themselves these questions too.
Number one. What were the pinpoint specific thoughts or memories related to the experience during the math test? 2. Can I identify any patterns in the types of tests or subjects that trigger more intense anxiety? 3. How do I react when I notice the physical symptoms like racing heart and sweating during a test? 4. What kind of relaxation techniques have I practiced? 5. Are there any study techniques or routines that I find particularly helpful or unhelpful? So self-reflection questions are an essential step in understanding your emotions, identifying your needs, and developing a plan to address this situation.
Yeah, especially when it comes to test taking, I think you really brought up some really good questions, like relaxation techniques, as well as any other study techniques that help you kind of stay calm, stay stable. Because when we get worried, I heard, 저는 이거 느껴보지 않았다라고 했는데요. When it comes to test anxiety, when people get so nervous, let's say before an interview or a test, they only focus on that nervousness. And they worry about what's to come. A lot of the times people never think about, okay, I know I'm nervous. 그거를 인정하고 how do I calm myself?
Right.
그 연습을 이제 잘 이렇게 못하는 것 같아요. I don't think because they're so worried. Okay, I need to calm down. This is a thought that never really crosses their mind a lot of the times. Okay.
Yeah. We will practice it.
Oh, okay, nice. So it is food for thought for Jisoo as well as our listeners. So let's get into what we can do in this situation.
When it comes to understanding your mind and helping with the test anxiety, therapists often use CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's like a tool that helps us spot and challenges those not so helpful thoughts and beliefs we might have about the test. So Jisoo or other listeners, write down all the triggers that you've experienced during the tests and take a look carefully about your thoughts and then think about whether those are realistic thoughts. Afterwards, you can try to switch to more realistic and positive thoughts.
Yeah, because there's that saying, if you have a problem, writing it down, like on paper, somewhere where you could see it, a lot of people say you've solved half of the problem already by acknowledging it and having it visualizing that problem. So same with Jisoo in this situation, the anxiety that you feel, that nervousness that you feel before taking a test or preparing for a test, if you write down what you think where that anxiety might be coming from. Oh, I don't want to let my parents down. I want to go to this college, let's say. If you write them down and you see it and you visualize it, sometimes you might look at it and go, 이거 별거 아니네. Like this shouldn't really be a problem. And then I guess you could kind of filter out, concerns that aren't really concerns.
Right.
Oh, that's a good way. So that's the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy that you mentioned. What else can she try?
You should apply behavioral techniques. You start taking a test by practicing in a less stressful environment. For example, you might practice answering test questions at home or with a friend. Then, as you get more confident, you gradually work your way up to taking practice tests that feel more like the real thing. In a classroom setting or even at a library. So this way, you become more comfortable with the test situations and better at managing your anxiety during the test.
원장님,
네.
when you were studying for tests, like where was a very comfortable place for you to study?
I think a library. Library.
Library?
Yeah.
For me, 전 도서관 갈 때마다 I don't know why, but I felt so almost like it's like suffocating a little bit. 너무 답답하고 했던 그런 느낌을 많이 가졌는데요. And then studying at home, like in my room, too many distractions. Too many, like computers there, like phones there, and TVs there, and everything.
Right.
In college, and then somebody recommended study at the kitchen table, like the dining table. Because in the kitchen, there's not really things that would kind of, unless there's food, but studying while eating, that could be very helpful too. But there's not as many distractions as there are in your kitchen and on your dining table. So that helped a lot. Yeah, I'm really curious as to where the best, like in college or when you study, where you prefer in terms of studying.
사람들마다 아마 좀 많이 다를 것 같고
네.
특히 이제 지수님 같은 경우에는 일단은 이제 이 장소에 대한 그러니까 딱 시험 보러 갔을 때 그 장소에 대한 또 불안이 있고 그러다
네.
보면은 뭐 이렇게 땀 나고 뭐 이러면서 또 배도 아프신 분들 있거든요. 갑자기 막
네.
화장실에 가고 싶고.
맞아요. 그냥 너무 긴장해서.
네네네. 그래서
네.
그런 것들도 있다 보니까 이제
Yeah.
그런 약간 좀 답답하고 좀 하지만
네.
그런 이제 그 테스트 그 정말 지금 리얼 테스트 하는 것 같은 그 환경을
네.
조금 조성하는 게 네, 좀 도움이 되실 수 있겠죠.
Because you get like if you practice a little by little, put yourself in situations like practice questions, like you said, practice tests, and then you kind of I guess, being more aware of how you're reacting to that, that could help you be more comfortable in the actual test-taking situation too, right? That's something to keep in mind. Anything else you want to share?
So relaxation exercises like body scanning meditation would be helpful.
Oh.
So can we try this a little
Yeah,
bit?
I've never heard of this body scanning meditation. 네.
So first, close your eyes if you can. Some of them like maybe driving.
Oh, 네. If you're driving, yeah, don't close your eyes.
And and take deep breaths to relax.
네.
And inhale and exhale. While you are doing it, begin by focusing on each body part, starting from your head down, and then notice any sensations and tensions on your body. And then imagine that when you exhale, the tension and stress from your body come out. When you inhale, positive energy comes into your body. So let's try one more time.
Okay.
Sure. So take deep breaths to relax and begin by focusing on each body part, starting from your head down, and then notice any sensations and tensions. And then imagine that when you exhale, the tension and stress from your body come out. When you inhale, positive energy comes into your body. So you can repeat it until your body and mind become relaxed. So you can apply this whenever you experience anxiety. It
Yeah.
will be helpful.
I mean, usually when people get anxious, what happens? Like the sweating and everything, maybe even the shaking, your heartbeat increases, right? So
right.
breathing exercises like this can help your kind of heart rate kind of go down little by little, and that could affect other parts, other symptoms that you might have, like sweatiness, shaking, and whatnot. So yeah, being aware of your
네.
breathing, that's supposed to just help it in
네,
general.
민수님이 말씀하신 거 이제 내가 불안한 거를 이렇게 써서
네.
이제 그 스스로 이걸 인지를 하는 것처럼
네.
이제 눈을 감고 내 몸에 있는 그걸 인지를 함으로써
네.
훨씬 더 컨트롤하기가 좀 더 쉬워질 수가 있습니다.
Yeah. So inhaling the good energy and then exhaling anything that you picture in your mind is causing stress and anxiety, right? Nice. So dedicated to all the test takers out there for this year's 수능 D-7. It's next week, right?
네네.
D-7 or 6. I forgot how you work that D-. But next week, Thursday, the Korean CSAT 수능 is set to take place. I'm sure there's a lot of students and test takers already so nervous about this. But if you keep these tips that 우리 원장님 has shared with you, it could help you calm down a little bit. But I mean, it's a big test. You can't really say 100% all, like I'm super calm. 그쵸? But anything to help you relax more, I think will be very helpful. 원장님, thank you so much. That will do it for today's 마음톡톡 Inside Busan's Mind Talk. We'll see you back here next week.
Sure, I will see you next week then.
All